Hi, I'm John Ferris, a residential appraiser in the Central Valley of California. I've put the concepts of evidence-based valuation taught by George Dell to use using the power of R and RStudio. In this video, I'll demonstrate how I use R and its powerful visualizations on a daily basis in my appraisal practice. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off with a search in MLS using the interactive map feature in my local MLS. And we'll just narrow into one of the neighborhoods. We have neighborhoods built into our MLS. We'll just turn that on and select one of the neighborhoods. This one in particular will be Laurel Glen today. Once we've got that selected, we can put in a couple other parameters using our search criteria at the top right. In particular, we're just going to be searching for sales within the past 3 years, and we'll include actives and pendings and under contract. And we'll filter this later using R. So we'll just go ahead and set that for 3 years from today. And we will go ahead and turn on single family only, although this isn't perfect in my MLS. It will still capture some other property types such as condo. And so we'll have to filter some of those out here in a minute. So we will go ahead and display our results. And once we have that, we can filter by, or sort rather, by type so that we can get some of those that are actual condos and PUDs. But even those aren't always listed correctly. So we'll go ahead and select everything and then deselect these condos. And then we're going to sort again by HOA fees because you'll see that there are some with pretty heavy HOA fees because they still are either condos or attached PUDs, which aren't really comparable to our subject property. So we'll go ahead and deselect those. Once we finish doing that, we are ready for an export. And I've already made a custom export for my R analysis. So we'll go ahead and save that as an ADF, and I will save this to a folder usually that I already have created. In this case, we're doing a demo, so we'll just do a new folder, call it demo, and we will save it into the demo folder after we rename it ADF, which just stands for assignment data frame. And that includes all the single family residences that are in that Laurel Glen neighborhood. So we'll go ahead and save that. And now we can switch to RStudio. I've already got a template open. I'm going to save that to our demo folder. And now we're going to enter some of the subject characteristics here. These fields are called params, short for parameters, and we will use those to create some data frames and to create some filters within our code that we've written in RStudio. So we'll just go ahead and continue filling this out, entering the cars, type of solar. Solar is popular here in Central California. This house has none. We have a pool, put in our year built, our subject lot size. And then the next set we have is some filters, some parameters for filters. And then down at the bottom, we have our effective date. And then the subject is pending for $380,000. And then we just click knit and we let this code run. And it takes a few seconds here for the code to run, and it will produce an HTML document. Once it's done knitting, it will open into this preview window where we can see the property analysis that was completed running that code. At the top, we have some subject information, and then our first tab is neighborhood data, and this first graph shows sale prices over the past 3 years. The light blue is the entire neighborhood. The dark blue would be those that are considered competing. And we've got some information at the top about the ranges that are found within that neighborhood. The next graph it produces is a histogram, which again compares the entire neighborhood with those that are considered competing based on filters that we selected in those parameters. This third plot is sales volume by year, so we can see if there's any weird trends happening in sales volume. And then this last set of graphs are box plots, which show the overall trends for the neighborhood. And then the subject is identified with the red dot. So we've got 3 box plots: living area, lot size, year built. Those center boxes are the predominant ranges, 25 to 75% of the homes. So you can see where the subject falls in relation to the rest of the homes in the neighborhood. Our next tab is the competing market segment. Now these plots are based only on those homes that meet the criteria that we specified using the parameters. And we do specify those in the top paragraph, and the R produces that as well. So now we have a histogram of just the competing market segment. This is an interactive one. You can see the counts and the values for each of those. Our next graph is box plots by year. You can get your quartiles, your medians, your maximums for each of the years. And then this next graph, the MLS reported sale prices, is an interactive sale price trend that we can narrow down to any particular range to see what the sale prices were doing at any particular point along the 3 years of data that we've collected. These next 2 graphs are market condition price indexes, which is one of the first things that George teaches in his classes. One is by price per square foot, the other is by sale price, and this is over 3 years. So it gives the linear trends, and in the paragraph below, we specify the rate of change. Now we've got some monthly charts. We've got monthly sales volume, monthly median prices, and we have sale prices over the past 12 months showing box plots by month. So you can see the minimums, the maximums, medians. We have market conditions just over the past year. And the 2 lines are sale price and list price. We've got a plot of concessions. You can see that one up there at $40,000 is really atypical. Hopefully that was a typo. You can see that most of the homes that sold did not have any concessions. Now we've got a box plot for days on market. Again, interactive. You can hover over that, get the predominant ranges. We've got marketing times by month, so we can see what's happening with the trend. They have box plots along with the scatter plot of the data points. Now these next 2 charts coming up here are sale price by living area. And this one on top here is data over the past 3 years, and it's unadjusted for time. So that's the sale prices. We can use the slope of that line and the intercept to get a predicted value. The lower graph, each comp is adjusted for date of sale using a 3-year trend line, which gives us another predicted value. It's just a starting point. These dials are metrics that compare the subject to the competing market segment. It tells us how many homes or what percentage of homes in the market segment have similar features. Now we've got box plots for bedroom counts, by sale price, GLA, some other metrics out there if you're trying to find certain characteristics to bracket. We've got these box plots that tell us how common some of these features are, where the sale prices are falling, and by number of stories. These last 3 graphs, we've got a count of stories, sale price by levels, and then the GLA by levels. Let's go back up to the top here. Our next tab is the CMS table. And this first paragraph, it's all generated by R. It tells us how many sales were in the past 12 months that match the criteria we set using those parameters. So you can see our GLA is 1250 to 2000, built between 1970 and 95. Lot sizes within our specified range. And this table is produced automatically. And this one is grouped by the type of solar. Again, solar is common here in Central Valley of California. So it makes it easy. If my subject has owned solar, I can quickly see there's 3 sales in the past year that had owned solar, and I can be sure to collect one of those as a comparable to help bracket that feature. And then we get the low, average, median, high for all the columns that are listed there. We can open it in a browser. We've got a map feature that's connected to it. It's interactive. You can zoom in or out. You can hover over the points. Each of the blue points is a sale. The red point is the subject, and you can customize what shows up in these pop-ups. We've got distance, date of sale, price, and the address. And the sizes of the dots are dependent on what quartile they fall in terms of sale price. Are they in the lower 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, or 75 to 100 percentile? But fully interactive. So if you deliver this HTML to a client, they've got an interactive map that they can zoom in and out of. Each sale in this table was included in that map. So that they correlate with each other. You can get a little more information looking at the table here versus what is actually shown on the map. But you can include anything you want in there. This last tab, the subject transaction zone, is kind of a work in progress, but this is based on some of the quantiles and quartiles, predominant ranges. That 380,000 there is what our subject is pending for. We can see it's well below the predominant range is found. The lower graph, the illustrative sales, takes the 5 most timely sales, adjusts them for time, so we can see where the subject falls in relation to those. Take note on the CMS table. Right here we have 25 competing sales. Let's go ahead and close this. And then we're going to go ahead and change some of the parameters. And we'll run this again and we'll get some different results. So let's go ahead and make the GLA range 18% of the subject's GLA. And I actually have this program that will go 5% more on the top end. And we'll go ahead and change the distance to yes. So we'll search for sales within a half mile within 18% of the subject's GLA. And we'll run that. And in a few seconds, we will have a completely new set of charts and data. And we'll open that up. We can go back to that CMS table. And here you'll see we now only have 13 competing sales. So by limiting the distance to a half mile and the GLA to 18%, we've narrowed that down to 13 sales. And again, they're on the map. And again, it's still interactive. We can take a closer look at those. And we can go take a look at the subject transaction zone and see if that's had any changes. Still below the predominant ranges. We can see one outlier there at 507. We could investigate that further. Back on the table, that was 3108 Ouray Way, which sold for $485. It has owned solar. It's on a larger lot. We look at the map, see maybe it has a location issue, if it's got a golf course view or something like that, but we can see here that it doesn't. It's just an interior residential property. So let's go ahead and we will close that. And we will change the parameters again. Maybe we need to bump that up to 25%. So we'll look at 25% smaller and 30% larger. We'll run that again. And again, in a few seconds, we'll have a third set of data, a third set of charts, just by changing some of those parameters. We'll wait for this to pop up here. And then we'll take a look again at that CMS table. And we'll see what kind of difference that made. We've got 15 competing sales now. So it added a couple more sales, expanding that to 25%. And then we can see, yes, there's a couple more on there on the map. We have our table, our transaction zone. See if it had any effect. Yeah, we can see it affected that. It's down to 506 now. So that time adjustment is based on the CMS. So if we change the filters on the CMS, it will change the results on our time adjustment, most likely. We can see the neighborhood data tables and plots also change when we make changes to those parameters. So this neighborhood distribution versus the CMS distribution. And we can take a look at our market segment and see the changes that show up here. We can see there's fewer sales, some months with no sales. So we can see how the parameters make changes. And by changing those parameters, we can quickly change our market segment, filter down to the market segment using characteristics. Now, one other thing that we can do, which is very nice about R, is it creates an HTML file whenever we knit. So we have that MA template HTML. We can reopen it in a browser. It's automatically saved. We can share that with our clients. If you were so inclined, you can do that. All of those graphs are still interactive. You can open up multiple instances of them. So you could open it in your browser, run it again, open up the new one, or you can come back in here and rename the HTML file. That way it will save. Just add a 1 to it, and then we can go back, change some parameters, and we can knit this again after changing some of the parameters, and then it will automatically save it as that MA template. So now we'll have an MA template and an MA template 1. So let this run for a few seconds. And that will open up our preview, and we'll just go ahead and close it back down, and we'll open them up. We'll open up the two of them in our browser so we can compare them. We'll get rid of that old one that was open. I'm not sure which one that was. So we'll just open this again, and we'll go to the histogram in the competing market segment on both of these. Let's switch tabs, and you can see how the distribution changed. Just by changing a couple of those parameters, we've changed our market segment, so you can use that to explore your data set. And that's really the power of R, how quickly you can make changes and produce a really nice looking report. That's all for the demonstration today. Hope you guys enjoyed it.